Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. I'm Dids, and I'm going to be flying solo here today. Been a while since we've talked. Life happens, right? You got work, my daughter playing softball, but that season's over with now. So figured why not go ahead and fire this thing back up? And what better time than postseason baseball returning to Swayze Field in Oxford, Mississippi, right where it belongs. This has been one of the better jobs Mike Bianco has done from a coaching standpoint, putting this roster together, battling through things throughout the season, getting better as the season goes along too, right? That was one of the big things that we have seen from game one to right now before we start regionals here on at 7 o'clock on Friday for Ole Miss as they play Murray State. Ole Miss does end up getting the regional number 10 overall seed. Really had a really good week there in Hoover. Pitching really came along. A lot of credit to Joel Mangrum there for the way he's been able to develop arms, and you saw the depth really come alive in Hoover. Kind of the results of working all season long kind of coming to fruition there that one week in Hoover, Alabama. But you got to keep that momentum going, right? McCausland's been awesome. Obviously, we know Mason Morris and Connor Spencer, Riley Maddox, Hunter Elliott, obviously. But we saw guys like Cade Townsend take the ball and have a really good start, along with Walker Hooks. We saw two freshmen take the mound in two really big SEC games against two really, really good teams. Obviously, LSU number one at the time, and Vanderbilt, who ends up getting the number one overall seed. And both of them played really well. They grew up out there, so it's got to make you excited for the future of Ole Miss baseball there. So great job by them, kind of developing these guys, getting them ready for those situations, and on them for being able to handle it too. But Ole Miss does kick off their regional Friday at 7 o'clock against Murray State. And earlier today, as I record this on Thursday, Mike Bianco announced that he did what he absolutely should do, and that is start Riley Maddox against Murray State, holding Hunter Elliott for the winner of Western Kentucky and Georgia Tech. Because even though Ole Miss was a national seed, number 10 overall, we didn't get a lot of favors with this draw. I don't think it's a pretty tough regional. Murray State's no pushover. Obviously, Ole Miss saw them in a midweek earlier this year. Had to go to extra innings to end up winning that game. And then Georgia Tech, regular season ACC champions, and Western Kentucky won, 47, 48 games, whatever that ended up being, won their conference tournament as well. So they are a very, very good team. 46 games, 46 and 12 overall for Western Kentucky there. So no push over there. They hit it well. They've got some guys that can pitch it really well. But let's talk about Murray State. That's where I'm going to start right here. The Racers ended up winning their conference tournament, as I mentioned earlier. Won the Missouri Valley tournament, finished 39-13 overall, 17-8 overall in the conference. And I kind of went over it a little bit with Stephen Wilson on Locked On Ole Miss earlier this week when I joined his show. They've got a couple of guys that can run it out of the ballpark, but outside of that, there's really nothing. Jonathan Hogart has hit 16 home runs this year. Carson Garner has hit 16, and then Will Verling, their catcher, has hit 10. Outside of that, you're looking at Luke Mastone, who has 2 home runs. Dan Talkin, who has 8. Connor Cunningham has 6, and then 1, 2, 3, and then everybody else is 0. So it's not a team that's just going to kill you with the long ball here. What they do really well is they walk a ton. They walk a lot. Now this is again in the Missouri Valley. It's not going to be apples to apples kind of comparison here, but I looked it up. Ole Miss is 22nd in the country in walks at 321 so far this year, and Murray State is 27th with 315. And another thing they don't do is strike out. They don't strike out a whole lot. 28th fewest in the entire country with 347 strikeouts. Now, if you told me that is a product of the pitching that they were seeing in the Missouri Valley, I totally buy that. A guy, facing pitchers that couldn't find the zone a lot, so that attributed to their walks, and didn't have the go-to stuff to blow it by you and strike you out either. But either way, that's a trend that you need to watch here. Ole Miss is going to throw strikes. We always throw strikes. We're going to make you beat us in the strike zone. So it's going to be a little bit different for Murray State. And I really like going to Riley Maddox here because that's one thing he's done a really, really good job of for about the last month now. He has really rediscovered that sinker of his. really running it in on the hands, keeping it down. When he's able to do that at 91, 92 and not overthrow that thing, it is really, really nasty. And he's gotten some really good results from it. So I really like this matchup for Riley Maddox against Murray State, and I think he'll be able to handle them pretty easily. I haven't seen anything announced yet. Murray State will run out their ace, which is Nick Shute. He has been their ace all year long. So I expect him to be out there once again on Friday night in Swayze Field. He's 7-3 on the year, 4.02 ERA. He has thrown one complete game, 78.1 innings pitched, 77 strikeouts, so roughly a strikeout per inning. He has walked 42 and hit 10 in those 78 innings, however. So he can get a little wild. And as we know, with this Ole Miss team, they're not going to go up there and just hack at anything. You're going to have to get in the strike zone. So if he's wild, this could get ugly pretty quick for Murray State. So really the key for Friday, Ole Miss needs to get the bats going, get out early, and not use Connor Spencer, Mason Morris, Will McCausland. Don't use those three bullpen arms. Save those for the Saturday game, which is the winner of Georgia Tech and Western Kentucky, obviously. And when you have those three paired with Hunter Elliott, you've really got to like your chances of Ole Miss starting out 2-0 here in this regional. But let's look at those other two teams real quick. They will play at 3 o'clock on Friday before the Ole Miss game gets started. Georgia Tech, as mentioned before, regular season ACC champions, 40-17 on the year, 19-11 in the conference. Did play a really tough conference schedule. I know it's been talked about a lot, but it is worth pointing out, so I'm going to point it out. Once again, they didn't play hardly any of the top teams in that conference. But you play the schedule that's ahead of you. They did. They won the most games, so credit to them. And you're going to get a pissed off Georgia Tech team, a team with the chip on their shoulder, because they think they should have hosted. And obviously they're on the road heading to Oxford this weekend. But this is a team that hits it fairly well. You know, you look up, their catcher leads their team in hitting at 349 with Van Lackey. 439, slugs 493, only 5 home runs on the year. Now, this is a catcher that can run, though. 17 stolen bases, only been caught 3 times. This team walks a lot, too, though. Just looking up and down their lineup, 24, 48, 32, 32, 23, 29, 23. These guys go up there to attack certain pitches, and they're not going to chase. The big hitter to watch out for Georgia Tech is the sophomore center fielder, Drew Burris. This is that guy that busted onto the scene last year as a freshman, had an unbelievable year. Not quite as good as sophomore year, but obviously he's still hitting it pretty well. A 339 average, 1169 OPS, 18 home runs, 61 RBIs, and 9 stolen bases. And what's really impressive is a guy with that kind of home run numbers, he had a ton last year too. He has struck out 39 times and walked 48. So he's walked 9 more times than he has struck out. That's something you don't see a lot in not only college baseball, but majors all across any level of baseball. You don't see a slugger like him walk that many more times and strike out. Kyle Lodise, the junior shortstop for Georgia Tech, hitting 330 as well with 15 more home runs, 58 RBIs. And again, 44 strikeouts, 32 walks. I mean, he's keeping it close there. 12 stolen bases. Alex Hernandez, the freshman second baseman's had a really, really good year for the Yellow Jackets. If y'all haven't watched Georgia Tech so far this year, this is a really fun team to watch. I've been able to catch only a couple of their games, but they are very, very talented and they're really good. They know what kind of baseball they want to play, and by God, they go out there and they play that style, no matter what you're trying to do to them. But Alex Hernandez, like I said, the freshman, second baseman, 330, 14 home runs as a freshman, 61 RBIs, has really played well. Caleb Daniel, another freshman that has played well for this Georgia Tech team. He's out in left field, hit 318, 7 home runs, and 29 RBIs there. So this is a deep lineup. They've got Carson Kirst, the sophomore third baseman, hitting 310 as well. So they're going to go up and down this lineup and throw some guys at you. So this pitching staff's really going to have to be ready if we end up running into them. And that's why you end up holding it, obviously, if that is the case. But not only them, Western Kentucky as well, who we'll get into here in just a minute. But looking at the pitching staff for Georgia Tech, one thing that jumped off the page for me when I started looking into their pitching staff, they basically have their own Mason Morris with a bigger workload. Mason Patel, the grad transfer, he's 10-1 on the year, 5 saves, a 2.88 ERA, and 21 appearances. He's thrown 65.2 innings, all out of the bullpen so far this year. Struck out 62, only walked 15, a 200 batting average against. This is a guy that is obviously really good at his job and really comfortable coming out of the bullpen. They use him a ton. They're going to obviously try to get through that Western Kentucky game without throwing him. They would love to have that bullet in the gun come Saturday when the Rebels are playing, if they're able to make it there. If not, I'm sure you will see him on Friday night, though, because this is a big time arm for them. But kind of looking down at their starters, though, there's not just a whole lot there that really scares you from a starting pitching standpoint. Brady Jones, the junior, 7-3, but a 4.30 ERA. Tate McKee, 7-3, 5.18 ERA. Both pretty big arms, though. You got Jones with 73 strikeouts and 67 innings, then McGee 77 and 73 innings. The big thing with Brady Jones is he's hit 16 people in those 67 innings pitched, along with walking 37 batters as well. So he puts a lot of guys on base, something he's going to have to get under control, because when you look over at this Western Kentucky team, if that's who Georgia Tech ends up going with, these guys can flat out run. They're really good at getting on base. They're 46-12, 18-9 in Conference USA. The guy that jumps off the page at you, though, is Ryan Weidman, the junior center fielder for them, has had an unbelievable year. 398 batting average, 1128 OPS, 10 home runs, 20 doubles. 20 doubles on the year with 6 triples, and has stolen 45 bases. This guy's been out of his mind all year long. If you're going to give him any sort of free passes, he's just going to run wild on you and turn a walk into a triple in a heartbeat. And then if you come across the plate, he's just going to hit it into a corner, hit it into a gap, and at least turn it into a double. Again, 20 doubles so far this year. And then you look down, Carlos Vasquez, the junior third baseman, he's the same way, 366 average, only 5 home runs, but 20 doubles. This is the doublingest team that I have seen in a long, long time. Only 8 steals for him, however. But then Kyle Hayes, the senior first baseman, hitting 360, 1138 OPS, 16 doubles, 9 home runs. Ethan Lazama, the senior right fielder, 332 average, 1056 OPS, 17 doubles, and 15 home runs. This is a team that can really swing it, and they can really hurt you if you give them any sort of free passes. You've got to go up there and you've got to compete, batter in and batter out with them, because they're showing up to do some damage, and they've done a heck of a lot of it so far throughout the year. And also this team that pitches it pretty well, right? Obviously being in Conference USA, we're not talking about SEC type lineups or anything, but just right off the top, the top 2 starters here, Jack Bennett, 6-1, 274 ERA in 13 starts, 62.1 innings pitched, only 48 strikeouts, but he doesn't walk a lot, only 20 walks and 5 hit by pitch. Drew Wallen, the sophomore, 9-2, 317 ERA in 15 appearances, 76 innings pitched, 88 strikeouts, 29 walks, 7 hit by pitch, 226, 236 batting average against, respectively, there. And then down here to the third one, Gavin Perry, senior, 4-1, 264 ERA, 44 innings pitched, only 29 strikeouts. So they're not going to blow it by you by any stretch of the imagination, but they do a really good job of limiting hard contact. Let me just go down through these batting averages against real quick. 236, 226, 177, 196, 176, 249, 182, 227, 263, 248, 211, 225. I mean, these guys can really throw it, and they have so far. Obviously going to face a little harder competition, Georgia Tech first, and then potentially Ole Miss after that. But this is a really good regional, and it's going to make for phenomenal television starting at 3 o'clock on ESPN Plus from Swayze Field. Georgia Tech, Western Kentucky is going to be one heck of a game. And then really interested to see what happens with Ole Miss, obviously, at 7 o'clock that night. And we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier that Ole Miss has really found something with their pitching with Connor Spencer and McCausland and Mason Morris. Obviously, those are guys that we know of. But Riley Maddox has been really, really good over the last month. Hudson Calhoun's another guy that you can't overlook. He's 3-0 on the year, 4.37 ERA, but he's got 35 strikeouts in 22 and 2/3 innings. Has really, really pitched it well. He has a 154 batting average against so far this year. So the dude has been absolute nails. Cut down on the walks. He's got 16 of them and hit 4 batters in 22 and 2/3 innings. If he quits giving up free passes, Hudson Calhoun is an absolute stud in the making to go with those other 3. And then Walker Hooks, like we said, really pitched well, and his season line has really shaped pretty well here. 1-1, 3.89 ERA, and 20 appearances as a true freshman in the SEC. 40 strikeouts and 34 and 2/3 innings, only 12 walks. So he controls it pretty well. This is a team that's going to try to ride this pitching as far as they can. Cade Townsend, the talk of the pitching staff so far, his season line, 1-0, 5.45 ERA, 41 strikeouts, 33 innings pitched, only walked 18 and hit 5, 214 batting average against, though. It's kind of the thing, you bring in all of those. If you're able to reel in those free passes you're giving batters, we've got guys with super, super good stuff that can get guys out in this league. And so far, they've done it for an entire year now. So it's not a fluke. So going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I obviously expect Ole Miss to win this regional. I expect Ole Miss to move on to the Supers, where we are matched up with the winner of the Athens regional. And I do expect that to be Georgia. But look, if you told me that Georgia's bats end up going cold, Duke ends up finding some pitching to kind of silence them a little bit, keep games close, and able to scrap a couple runs across against Georgia there, because their pitching staff isn't the best. What they do is they hit the fire out of that ballpark there in Athens. But offense comes and goes and pitching travels. So maybe Duke's able to pitch it well enough, and it's one of those colder weekends for Georgia. And if that's the case and Duke ends up coming out of that regional, them or Oklahoma State, then this ride isn't over, and Ole Miss will be hosting a super regional next weekend, because I do fully anticipate them making it out of this one, even as tough as it is. I think we've got enough arms. I think the bats are going to be just fine. It was a big ballpark there last week in Hoover. Getting back to our home ballpark here in Swayze, ball's going to start flying a little bit, hopefully, for us, not them. And I think Ole Miss takes care of business, and this thing's wrapped up by Sunday. Rebels go 3-0, win the regional, and then we sit back and see what happens. See if we have another weekend of baseball in Swayze come next weekend. So, but I'll hop back on here and I'll talk about that after the regional is over with and preview a super regional. And then after the super regional is over with, I'll hop back on here and I'll preview Omaha with y'all, because the Rebels are going back to Omaha this year. First time since 2022. Don't let the Rebels get hot.